the French.
Okay.
Yeah,
Très,
sorry.
très bien. Um, Also coming up in, I believe, 2 weeks' time, there's still a handful of spots left for the Welcome Back to Whiskeyland tasting. Not an inexpensive range, but there's some cool stuff in there. Old Glen Grant, Imperial, Springbank, Tomatin, Tormore, and then a Ben Nevis 96 that's not Whiskeyland, but kind of a blast from the past, if you will. It was a very late release of whiskey sponge. I think it's the other half of a cask that they'd previously bottled. So those are
Yeah,
coming up. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society tastings are coming up, and I believe they're ready to go. Are they
they're
poured?
ready.
They're ready to
Yeah.
go. Macbeth, I keep saying I have a better photo of this because all the bottles came in. We've got a proper photo. That's going to be an amazing tasting. 45-year-old
Yeah.
Blue Heaven, 28-year-old Ben Nevis, some old Glen Talkers. I'm not saying I will, but there's a slight chance I might even learn a little bit of Macbeth just for the purpose of the tasting.
Well,
But
like do a
hold me to
reading.
that. It'll just be a pleasant surprise if it happens.
Gosh, I hope so.
Festivals, Glenfarclas in store, Ben Romick, Gorbachville, that's sold out, so I guess we don't need to talk about it. Our Nick Nean virtuals coming up, which reminds me, I got to order the bottles in for that
Yes,
next
please.
week. Don't let me forget. Um, with founder Annabelle Thomas. Diageo is sold out, so we won't waste your time with that. Cadenheads, still a few spots left for this, which surprised me, but they'll sell. That's only been up for a little while. And then lastly, the whiskey advent tastings. Harmony's got the liquid poured for the main set of calendar tastings, but we're waiting on boxes and the glass. Although all this stuff is now coming soon. So we're going to be close to that end of October goal to have them ready for pickup. So there's that. The Uber, if you bought that, will be ready about the same time. Those are all sold out, so we won't tempt you with those. Though we are still waiting. Customs is holding 2 of the bottles we need for that. So
How rude.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But we're just not quite there yet. Um, Shakespeare soliloquies, you never know. Not and they're not on the bingo sheet yet, but if Evan watches even 2 minutes of tonight's tasting, he might put them on there. But then if I know they're on there, then I won't do them. I'll do something other than a soliloquy, just so you can't tick off that box. But that's how she goes. So Decadent Drams. Uh, the parent or Decadent Drinks, I suppose, if we step it back, is the parent company to Decadent Drams, Whiskey Sponge, Whiskey Land, Equinox and Solstice. Um, I'm sure I'm missing something else. There's many different bottlings in the Decadent Drinks portfolio. Obviously, Angus McRailed, the Whiskey Sponge himself, is the main guy behind this, but there's many other people in the company. It's become quite a big company. One might say it's becoming a bit of a prolific independent bottler, especially of things that people are like, how do you have that? Like 30-year-old Springbanks that keep getting bottled. But I suppose this is one of those not looking a gift horse in the mouth situations. Um, we kind of wanted to break down the recent release, which was massive. There was like over 30 releases in it. We wanted to break it down into a couple of digestible chunks for tasting. So we thought we would do a Decadent Drams tasting, although this isn't exclusively Decadent Drams, but it's mostly that, with a little bit friendlier price point. And it also includes a blend done for the sinDicate, a local whiskey club. Kensington took about a third of the bottles of that to sell for the shop. Great little story behind that. And then we're doing obviously that Whiskey Land tasting, a little bit higher end, a little bit rarer whiskeys, but yeah, everything we've had from these guys so far has been interesting, if not good or great. Have yet to come across too many duds, but we haven't tried any of these tonight, so we're all diving in blind. We'll have to see what they look like. And we're starting off with the Loch Do. I believe Harmony's put the order in the chat.
I
Um,
did.
she
Yes.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
So you should have the order there. So we're going to start with the Loch Do, then the blend, then the
Yes.
Spirit of Yorkshire, the Arran 10, Glen Toon, Loch Lomond, and Caol Ila to round things out.
Cool.
So let me put the Loch Do up on screen here. So there's This is kind of a cheeky bottling by Decadent Drams because it makes reference to something you may or may not be familiar with, which is Loch Do, not spelt D-O, but D-H-U, which was a very dark whiskey available in, I believe, the early 2000s, possibly the late 90s. But the main thing about Loch Do, the main thing to know is that it was a whiskey that was massively colored with caramel coloring. They claimed it was double charred casks, but no, most people would suggest. And this is on the whiskey exchange site. You can see some examples of the Loch Do here, bottled in the 80s. These are the ones I'm more familiar with that I got to try. I never got to try the dumpy version, but I have tried a couple of the you know of this more upright bottling, and let me tell you, it was awful. It is
It looks scary.
possibly the worst, not just whiskey, but it's one of the worst things I've ever drank.
Mm.
And unsurprisingly, it had its fans. So it was made by Diageo, 96, 97, although clearly there was an older bottling bottled from the 80s. And the story on this is that it was Mannochmore double charred cask, but really massive amounts of E150, which is caramel coloring. And I don't know that we've gone down this rabbit hole for a while because very little that we try in our Kensington tastings anymore has caramel coloring in them. I mean, we tend to focus on independent bottlings. Things are a little bit more rare, but I think it's important to know that the industry as a whole still uses E150 in a lot of their whiskeys. And the worst culprit for that, I mean, you've heard me joke about this before, is Dalmore. Like Dalmore loves to put that coloring in there. And there's a reason they do it. And it's, I mean, in some ways I can understand why they do it. I still don't like it, but it's they want consistency and they want color because they know that you are more likely to buy something if it's got a darker hue to it than if it's got a lighter hue to it. And that is purely the rationale on one level. The other is color consistency. I mean, Dalmore or Arran or Kilchoman could try to pretend that their core release whiskeys never change, that they're always the same, but they're going to vary over time because the batches are different. You're going to have subtle variations in color, and if your main focus is on the liquid and the flavor, then it's harder to juggle the color because the color isn't necessarily going to lead right into the flavor on those. So some companies like Dalmore, like Diageo, like a lot of the big guys, will add small amounts of spirit caramel or caramel coloring to have batch consistency so that the whiskeys look the same from batch to batch because they're worried that if the color varies, you're going to think it's not as good, so you won't buy it, or you'd think that it's no longer as good. I think the irony on the other end of the scale is that I'm immediately turned off by anything I know that has caramel coloring in it because I feel it's got something to hide. I mean, I think that also is the same reason why I've never been a fan of clowns. Because like, what is the clown hiding under all that makeup? I mean, I still ask that question every time I see one today. Anyway, Loch Do, heavily caramelized or very dark, frankly, just disgusting. And it was banned at some point, and I believe it was banned because someone tested it and they're like, the carcinogens in this are off the charts. Um, but it had fans in two markets. It had fans in America, unsurprisingly, and then it had, all we have to do is I could insert a joke here about skin tones, but I won't. Um, and then there's the Danes. The Danes loved it. I think the Scandinavians like strongly flavored things. And
Hmm.
so Loch Do had fans there. So a company in Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, managed to get a hold of some Mannochmore and added caramel coloring to it. And so they replaced that bottling and called it Sudub, another Gaelic name. I have never tried that. I've never sought it out because if it's anything like Loch Do, I'm sure it's garbage. But this one here that we're trying is really just a play on this because going back to it again, there's no spirit caramel in this. And it's just Mannochmore, which is such a beautiful floral delicate spirit. And what we've got here is Mannochmore from ex-bourbon cask. So this is the producer description, a playful homage or piss take of the infamous Loch Do bottling. Ours hails from Mannochmore Distillery as well, but we've dubbed it Loch Do, a Decadent Drams special. It is a marriage of whiskey from 2 refill hogsheads filled in 2009 and bottled at 15 years of age at natural cask strength, which just so happened to be bang on 50%. It's a beautiful, waxy, fruity example of Mannochmore, which shows off this distillery's characteristic richness, weight very well. And it's also a dig at what was frankly just a disgusting whiskey. So this is the polar opposite of this. This is unadulterated, uncolored, not even heavily charred cask, but this is second fill cask whiskey. So it's allowing the spirit to shine through and allowing
Mm-hmm.
it to really express itself, without the cloak of caramel or wood.
It like initially smells very like waxy and heavy. Like it just feels like it's going to be a big full-bodied spirit, just even on the nose. Like a little toasty, malty.
Yeah.
Yeah, just little, like you said, floral.
Mhm. Well, that's the thing for me with Mannochmore is I find it's an intensely floral single malt. It's very pretty. It's
Hmm.
lush. There's
Hmm.
soft fruits in there. There's lots of apples, pears, white fruits in there. But it's floral, it's waxy, and like some nice toasted oak notes in there too. Let's give this
Hmm.
a little, well, you've probably already done this. I'm going to give it a little taste here.
I just tasted it. It's absolutely beautiful on the palate.
Mhm.
Bright fruit. The finish is long. Nice long finish.
Now, I'm going to have to go back for a second sip before I'm confident on this, but it's got this really nice, sweet spice finish. Like if you were to
Hmm.
dust like mangoes or something with black pepper and some other spices. Um, but I did have a dal curry for dinner. So as I said to Harmy before we got started, I've got my palate cleansing beer here just to make sure I got a good baseline because I'm worried that that's tainted my palate a little bit. But
I don't think it has. I find it quite spicy. It's very rich. It's kind of peppery. It also kind of goes into some like chili spice notes. Like there's a little bit of heat there.
yeah,
Um, it's really lovely.
yeah.
It's a great start.
There's some nice spice there. Again, some apple, pear, a little bit tropical, a little bit of mango. I mean, this
Hmm.
is a whiskey that I think if you'd left it in the cask for another 20 years, it would have gone really, really tropical.
Yeah,
However, if it's this spicy now, and that's probably the oak spice coming in, it probably would have been over the top if it was left that
could
long.
have
So
been. Yeah.
probably good. And looking at the description again, these two casks married out at around 50%. So it was obviously losing quite a bit. Um, to it. So yeah, Mannochmore, a couple people in the chat saying how much they love it. It's a distillery that I certainly have a fondness for too. Um, I believe, and I have to open my phone here to fact check this. I believe, oh my God, just
Yeah, there's been a few really fantastic, like youthful kind of, that 10 to 14-year Mannochmores that we've seen, like from the society as well as like as mentioned the SMOS bottlings that have been just super vibrant and fruity and just really pretty, easy drinking. Everybody loves them, great value whiskeys, and I think this just goes to show that this distillery just produces really nice spirit. And and if you like Clynelish and you can't find it, this is maybe a good substitute for kind of that waxy profile.
mhm.
That's
I was
nice.
trying to look back because I mean I know we've had some Mannochmore exclusives in the past. I could
Hmm.
have sworn we had a Gordon MacPhail Mannochmore cask, but
It wasn't that long
yeah,
ago. We had one on the shelf.
yeah, but that one wasn't exclusive. I was just
No.
going from memory that I could have sworn we've done one. I hope to do one, so you never know. That's on the hit list, so maybe we'll do one in the future. Shall we keep things rolling and move on to the blends?
Yeah, otherwise I'm gonna have nothing back to come back to if we stay on there much longer.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
All right. So the next one is blended malt Scotch whiskey, done for the sinDicate Whiskey Club. Uh, this is something that was a bit of a gamble. Kurt, who used to work for us, but you might see him from time to time again in the future. Who's moved on. He's still connected to the store. Um, has a whiskey club called the sinDicate. He and Angus were emailing back and forth, and the goal was to create a blend. Kurt wanted to do a bespoke blended bottling. More or less gave Angus carte blanche to pull something together. And there's a fun little description of it in here. I'll put it in the chat. I'm not going to read it all out, but it's a little bit on the cheeky side. But the whiskey that Angus put together for him is superb. Um, it's an old style blend was the goal. They wanted to create something like the way blended whiskey used to be back when it was done in small batches, when it was more artfully made, and kind of less of a commodity than it is today.
Hmm.
Um, and it's 51.5%. It's a blended malt, so there's no grain in it. It's not a blend proper, but rather a blended malt. And the components that we know here are 30% blended malt 2001 from First Fill Sherry, 15% Milton Duff 2012, 15% Altmore from 2006, refill sherry, 10% Ardmore 97, refill hogsheads, 10% Ardmore 2000, first fill sherry. And I mean, you can probably speculate here. These look a lot like probably bits, remnants that are maybe left over from some of the projects Angus was working on before. 10%, yeah, Ardmore, 8% Ben Nevis 2013, 5% Aberfeldy 2012, and 7% 2018 Highland single malt heavily peated. Now, all that is well and fine, but what's really interesting is that 2001 blended malt, is that some of the mix in that go back to 1975. So there's no documentation to confirm it. All they know is it's a blended malt, the youngest components of which are from 2001. But there could be components in there that are older than that. And I think that's um, what we've got here. So Harmony, what have we got on the nose?
This brings me right into like a garage,
Mm.
like on a farm, and I don't almost want to say the notes because I don't know if it's a very attractive note, but I get like burnt
Harmony,
toast.
we've never shied away from that. So
Okay, my
onward
first
and upward.
impression was burnt toast, a really old dusty rope in the tail bed of an old truck, rusty cream buckets and sourdough and smoke. Those are my notes.
Amazing. Um,
Like it reminds me of like cleaning out like an old garage
mhm.
on a farm.
I can see that. I mean, it's got this kind of elegant but dirty side to it on the nose.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it was more about like kind of musty old cognac notes,
Mm.
very reminiscent of like old Armagnac and old cognac. Um, there's also like a nice cognac note in here, or sorry, cocktail note in here. It reminds me of classic old school cocktail, not an old fashioned, but maybe something like a Tipperary, which I'm quite fond of these days, which is a cocktail that involves, that's supposed to be blended Irish whiskey, but I go for blended Scotch, like small batch blended Scotch, because that's just my style. Green chartreuse, and sweet vermouth with a bit of aromatic bitters. And
Mm,
so to me, I get kind of all of those sort of elements in here, including that the sweet vermouth, the bitters, the spice. Sammy's saying soy sauce on the nose. There is a saltiness to it. There's a peatiness to it. Harmony, when you started saying like going into an old barn or an old garage, it actually reminded me of like that smell when you go into a place like Gasoline Alley at Heritage Park. You have
mhm.
these cars that are up to 100 years old, and despite
Yeah,
the fact they keep them in rather pristine conditions today, um, it's, you can still smell all that. You can
yeah.
smell the old components, the old bits of oil, traces of gasoline, all those things that are in there. Let's give it a taste. Oh man, the palate is rich, fruity, going into some tropical tones. The sweet vermouth note is really kind of a dominant note for me here too. Like I get that vermouth on here as well. Um,
Mm,
and like almost like a little bit of like a sandy, like a beach sand and a little hint of bonfire in there too.
I get that bonfire. Um, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of your kind of cognac armagnac kind of notes on the palate a little bit with those dried fruits and
Mhm.
spices. Um, I'm actually enjoying this sample more than I did from the fresh bottle pop. When I tried this initially, I felt you could kind of feel the parcels kind of layered on top of each other. I felt like it needs like longer vatting or longer bottle aging,
Yeah.
a long time to breathe, even. It feels more complete today than it did the first time that I tried it. Um,
Harmony, I think you nailed something on this here too, because I felt the same way. I don't know that I put it in my tasting note or not. It's possible here, but one of the things that I felt about it too is that like it felt a little busy, and it just
mhm,
like there were so many components in it. And I think the
mhm,
reality of this is that this was a small batch project put together. I mean, Angus himself, I think, would admit like this wasn't given a lot of time to marry.
mhm.
And I mean, that's something that's sort of underappreciated when you create a whiskey, especially when you create a whiskey from a lot of different parts, is that
Yes.
they need time to integrate. So,
Mhm.
example I love to use, I mean, everyone knows I like to take the piss out of Macallan, but one of the things I think that they do that's, and I'll admit, shockingly overpriced as their 18-year-old is, or their 12. Every time I try it, I'll admit it's very well made. It's a very
Mhm.
well made product. But one of the things they do is when they make a big vatting of any of their whiskeys, they mix it all together and then they put it back into casks for a marrying period. And some companies do this and don't tell you. Others just don't do it because there's just not enough time, or maybe it's just not efficient enough. But I think that's one of the reasons why their product is as consistent as it is that
Mhm.
they take the time to make sure that all the components there are integrated and married
Mhm.
before it goes to bottling. And the classic example of this for me is our Walter's Choice blend. Like this
Yeah.
this married for 19 years
Yeah.
before it was bottled. Now, that was not intentional. I think they'd planned to use it a lot more expeditiously. But I think, you look at those two whiskeys, one's obviously quite a bit older than the other. But one of the things that I think you're right about, and you nailed it, is this is a really tasty whiskey. It's definitely gotten better since it's been sitting and had more time to kind of
Mhm.
integrate. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it had enough time to marry before it was.
Mhm. I think it is one of those whiskeys that I think could improve just in the bottle,
Mhm.
or just removing a little more liquid from the bottle and allowing it to just kind of
Mhm.
breathe and settle, because we poured these kits
Mhm.
3 weeks ago. So it's had a little time to rest and come
It was
together.
decanted, went
Yeah,
like
it's been
essentially it.
decanted, pushed through, and then air in the bottle.
Yeah.
and then 25 minutes in the glass, and it's drastically improved from my first visit of it.
Well, I think
Um,
the two elements to that are it shows how some whiskeys need time to breathe. So
mhm,
that's one part of it. The
mhm.
second is that so there's that component that the whiskey needs time to breathe. But the other is I think it would have benefited from a longer marrying time. And
Agree.
to Tyler's point, will it improve in the bottle? I think this is a whiskey that will over time improve in the bottle, just
I
because the
agree.
liquid in there will have more time to integrate. I think
Yeah,
the marrying process is more effective if you do it while it's in cask still or in a vat. You just really
yeah,
give it time. But short of that, in a bottle, it's good. And the reality was with stuff like this or projects like this, like everybody wanted to get this. Kurt wanted to get this, his club members wanted to get it. I mean, we were excited to try it too, to see what Angus pulled together here with his, I mean, I don't think he would mind me saying this, but kind of a shit mix blend. Like this is like when you're a kid and you go to 7-Eleven or Max,
you mix all the
get the
Slurpee
Slurpee
flavors.
from all the flavors. Like there's kind of an element of that. I know that's not exactly what happened here.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a purposeful attempt to create something, but there's a lot of components in this. And
there
you
are.
know,
Yeah,
when you have those Slurpees, the longer it's in that glass, the more all those components mix together. Otherwise, you just got layers of stuff, right? So I think,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
That's
a fun
fantastic.
whiskey. I think,
It is. It's showing so much better today. I'm really glad that we put it in the lineup because I wanted to love it. I wanted to rave about it. And my first experience, I couldn't do that confidently. I couldn't even, it's there in the cabinet. Go look at it. It's not my thing. But now I think it's quite a pretty whiskey. It's very robust. Yeah, it reminds me of cleaning up my dad's shop of like random bins of like ropes and, tie downs for trucks and old, tools and other things. But then behind it, there's this great cinnamon spice and kind of, like you said, aromatic bitters. I wrote rich Armagnac. It's got the depth of age to it now, where initially from the bottle pop, it was like multiple distinctive things that didn't cohesively come together. I think it's really beautiful now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, shall we move on to something that I'm going to have to admit I know almost nothing about?
Yes.
Um, uh, so we're on to the Spirit of Yorkshire Distillery, uh, which I believe their whiskey trades under the name Philly Bay. Um, and what's interesting is that we've seen some of this crop up with other independent bottlers, um, and other independent bottlers that we're fans of, like Adelphi. And I don't know if that's a sign that they all feel that this is a distillery that's got a ton of potential. I mean, with a lot of these English whiskeys, they're small batch, they're not inexpensive, especially when we get them from an independent bottler. Um, but I'm not sure I've tried Spirit of Yorkshire before, unless we put it. Well, I don't think Harmony, we didn't buy the Adelphi Spirit of Yorkshire, did we? I think we were too nervous about the price point.
Yeah,
Um,
we were.
that, what alternatives can you get at that price point? Um, but Decadent Drams put their name on this, so we figured we'd give it a whirl. It's 2018 vintage from second fill ex Isla barrel, so
Cool.
presumably ex Lafroig cask. And we don't know too much else about it from the description here. It's not often that Decadent Drinks dons Kevlar and tiptoes south into Englandshire, but on this occasion, for a very special knees up and several jars of foaming English ale with our friends at Spirit of Yorkshire Distillery, we made the exception. So um, I don't know anything more about this whiskey. That's a fairly vague description, but it's a
Isn't it?
six-year-old English single malt from Yorkshire, from the Spirit of Yorkshire Distillery, from ex Isla Cask, and we're going to try it together.
Was that label supposed to offer any sort of hints of what kind of Jurassic Park ride a T-Rex English distillery that was? Like, is
Well,
there a dinosaur connection?
they're not hiding from uh the distillery name. I'm just looking up to see on Whiskey Base here if there's something like the back label of or the back image of the label sometimes is on here, which might have some more information. Not always. Um,
It's
yeah, here we go.
very like kind of salty coastal peaty on the nose for
Yeah.
me.
Well, unfortunately, I can't read it too much. Like there's just it's a little unclear. The text, I can't really zoom into it. So yeah, we're going into this one blind, Harmony. I part of the reason why I wanted to put it in the lineup, I'll be honest, I'm gonna level with everyone here, is that Doc that got rid of one of the four bottles we had to buy. Um, which meant there's only three left to sell. However, I think in true Kensington fashion, I've never put anything into a tasting that I didn't genuinely want to try. So we put it into that for that reason. Now, nosing it, it smells youthful, but it's not
Mhm.
got rough or sharp edges to it. That's not that surprising to me. I mean, we're talking about a new distillery, whether it's a Jim Swan distillery or not, using the science of distilling as we have it today, they're able to make a much like cleaner, softer spirit than they did historically. But to me, I find that it's quite nutty. There's almost this yogurty yeastiness
Mhm.
on the nose too. So if I were a betting man, I would say probably long fermentations. I'm going to see if I can dig that information up here for us. 25. What does the old malt whiskey yearbook have to say about this? Um, blah, blah, blah. Tom Mellor and David Thompson, two separate locations, mash with the mash tun and washback standing at Tom's farm, which also houses World Top Brewery, while the wash still and spirit still are 2.5 miles down the road in Hunmanby. I've never been to Yorkshire, so these names sound very exotic to me. Um, the I'm not sure we're really. I'm just looking to see if there's any details on fermentation times. They're not. Um, but I would imagine being one of these newer distilleries and the fact that they have to transport the wash down the road.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably going to give it a little bit of extra je ne sais
How
quoi.
is that? Yeah. That just seems very costly. Like,
Well, but it also seems like like I mean it's downhill. So think
okay.
about it this way. So the farmers they're all about efficiency. So they're driving it downhill. I don't know. I mean it's bizarre, but like it's bizarre in the way that if farmers did something, like there's always going to be some quirky twist to it. So
Absolutely. The palate's quite fruity. Like initially there's some like soft floral, there's definitely some tropical fruit notes. There's a touch of ashiness to it as well. There's those
mhm.
ex-peated casks
Well, the
coming
peat
through.
really catches up with you on the palate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you said, it's very fruity. Um, Especially towards the finish, it reminds me of those like hard banana shaped candies,
hmm hmm
but it's still got that creaminess. It's still got some yogurty notes. Um, we had Sammy commenting in the chat that oh, I know you said I've been to Yorkshire and I didn't understand anything anyone said for about 2 to 3 days. For a moment there, I thought that was how long the fermentation time was. Um, but this kind of noses and tastes to me. It tastes to me like it went into lactic fermentation. It's got that creamy, yogurty, milky side to it, and I think this is like kind of English farmers from Yorkshire, Northern England, making a wildish kind of whiskey.
Yeah, I think what I enjoy about this is you could easily put this into a Scotch whiskey tasting blind, and I think people would just start guessing random Isla distilleries at 6 years old and not be
Mhm.
like they would just be fine with it. Oh, it's young Caol Ila. Oh, it's young Lefroy. I mean, it's not peaty enough for that, but um, I think you could convince someone that it's Scottish whiskey
Well,
very
here,
easily.
so Harmony, the note on the label, which we didn't copy onto our site, and I'm going to share it on the screen here so that people can see it. It is true craziness in Decadent Drams style. So that is a Velociraptor nurse and a pimped forklift trucks, not included with the sale of this bottle. But I suppose the cheekiness of this sort of hints at um, how crazy these guys are, that they've got probably a rather eccentric operation, I think it's fair to say. And that's what they've tried to honor on the label of
Yeah.
the whiskey.
It was that like an albatross on a mousetrap?
Without wasting too much time on that,
I'm just very curious. Sorry.
I'm not sure it could be.
Maybe it's just a regular seagull. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough. I can't see enough detail to comment on that. So
I'll study it tomorrow at work and
we'll refrain from. But the comment in the chat there is interesting. That it does remind me a little bit of Shelter Point, Smoke Point. I mean, I don't know if I would guess that this was Scotch whiskey. I think I would guess it was Canadian. Would have been my.
interesting.
And I'm not just saying that because of Sammy's note, but it does remind me of that, a little bit of that unmalted barley um, Shelter Point, Smoke Point release that they made.
Interesting. I don't remember any Shelter Point whiskeys.
mm, well, they've lost a bit of their luster, I think it's fair to say, sadly, due to some
Yeah.
personnel changes. But they finally got into LCBO, so all is well.
It's a fine whiskey. It's going more ashy.
Mhm.
The longer it sits, I'm getting more like Sharpie and ashy notes.
It's young.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's shows that the distillery has potential, but I think it's for me it's something that's just not quite there yet. But I'm glad we tried it, and hopefully people will liberate us of the final three bottles at some point. But you know that's how the game is played. Shall we move on to the Arran?
Yes,
Well,
please. I've
this
been looking forward to this because the regular Arran 10 is so solid.
well, and this is a bit more familiar territory for yours truly.
Yeah.
Um, Bottled 57.1%, 2014 vintage, first fill sherry hogshead. Um, and let me pop her up on screen here for everybody. So it's distilled 2014, as I said, 10 years of age, and bottled with a fair bit of cask reduction to 57.1%. We do love Arran and sherry. Um, I think we have to admit this is not an inexpensive 10-year-old.
Hmm.
It's quite a dear price for it. But again, there was just four bottles of this, I believe, that came in. We cracked one open. I think this tasting and some of the selections in it were really more just out of curiosity than anything else. And
Yeah.
the nose on this Arran 10 is lovely. I mean, this is thick sherry, but it's soft. It's got a nice balance to it. Candied fruits, chocolate, wet licorice.
Wet licorice.
Well, like proper, like kind of
Did someone
Aussie
lick it?
licorice. It's always kind of damp and just a little bit sticky. The good stuff. It's never dry. I think the best licorice is fair to say is never dry.
That's fair.
Any notes for you, Harmony?
No, nothing you didn't say. Like I get a lot of chocolate on it, actually. Dark fruit. The palate is lovely. Just beautiful. Get your licorice note now.
Mm.
Nice, rich, juicy fruit.
Hmm. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it.
Hmm.
Rich sherry. Um,
This is not disappointing. There's like a little bit of a citrus, like Seville orange kind of thing happening.
I'm really curious to know because they didn't specify, or maybe they did. We did on our website. Where do we have it there? First fill sherry hogshead. Okay, so this is that classic sherry cask that Arran is famous for using, which we've bottled over the years with great success. It's yeah, it's big, rich, almost a little on the dumpy side, but again, really nice balance. The barley's in there. There's a little bit of that like honey lemon note that you get from it, but really hidden quite well by the sherry. And it's chocolatey, lush.
Mm.
There's no flaws on this at all.
No, it's very, very good. I like Aaron.
Hmm.
It's just a lovely, lovely spirit.
Yeah, Sammy, 100%. Dumpy sherry isn't a problem when it's good.
Hmm.
I think dumpy sherry is a problem when yeah, not good. I mean, I realize that's a very, very wide like range of things, but
Good when it's not.
yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, if it's hiding something or the like this probably is full term maturation is the other
Yeah.
thing. This isn't a quick
Mm.
finishing. There's a lot of independent bottlers that seem to think they can just
Yeah.
layer dumpy sherry on top of a young malt and bottle it. And I think it's fair to say that that's not a style that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a solid whiskey. I
Yeah.
think the price is fitting for something like this. Like I wouldn't be disappointed.
Hmm.
And I'd be like, wow, that's 10 years old. Amazing.
Now, I guess we should say, Harmony, we can leave final judgments until we do our second pass, the speed
Ooh.
round, because you never know that Yorkshire might ride out of nowhere like a velociraptor in a nurse's uniform, but we won't know. We won't
It
know
might
until
be.
we've given it time to breathe.
Oh, so I might get a little bit more hospital notes on this, hey?
That's right.
Oh, that
Um,
would be interesting. That's
so
fair.
I don't know that we need to go into too many details on this, but I think most of you know Arran Distillery, Isle of Arran, fairly small. It's now 30 years old, which is quite remarkable. And
Mhm.
in the context of an industry that's at an interesting inflection point where you've had 20 years of uninterrupted growth. And when Arran started, it was the first of the new distilleries after the collapse to really get running. And it nearly went broke several times. And it didn't have competition as a new distillery until Kilchoman opened in 2005. And that to me, I think is an interesting thing to wrap your head around. Um, but one of the things that's interesting is that, like a lot of these other new distilleries, they were very keyed in on the type of spirit they wanted to do from the beginning, the type of casks they wanted to put it into, because they were conscious that they didn't have the luxury of time. And what's really interesting is 30 years later, some of these whiskeys, like their 25-year-old, the 21, which is no longer available, or at least not available for the next little while, is just how good they were. And all of that goes down to these, like the roots they laid when they opened. And I think it's the shame of some of these new distilleries is that they may not live long enough for us
Mhm.
to really appreciate how good they are.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to count the farmers out, the crazy farmers that truck their wort down the hill or their wash to put it in the still. Um, those are the kind of guys I think that last longer than you're going to expect them to. So,
Mhm.
um, Glen Toon. Let's see what
Hmm.
here. So
Mhm.
That's the Caol Ila. Oh, you know what? I think this ended up. I don't know why I thought there was a non-decadent drams release in tonight's tasting, but there isn't. They are all proper.
I think they're all proper. It's the whiskey land that has a couple
Right. A couple
C.
outliers.
Yeah, yeah. Which
So,
I'm super happy about because I really wanted to try that Ben Nevis cask because the first one was awesome.
but then there was one that was also not.
Well,
Did
there's an Orkney in there as well. That's not
what I was
or
going to
you
say,
mean Ben Nevis?
there was a Ben Nevis that Decadent Drams did that I did not enjoy. Um,
That's fair. There were a few that weren't for me, but
it was
the
too
one thing
fruity.
that I do think Angus does well, and I'm grateful for it because it's a distillery I very much enjoy, is the Glen Grants. And I haven't tried it, but I nosed it and I was very happy. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being a part of that tasting.
There you go.
But
So, this was bottled for the Campbellton Malts Festival this year.
cool.
It's an 8-year-old Glen Scotia, and it's called Glen Toon because Campbellton's nickname is the Toon, Campbell Toon.
Nice.
So that's the little connection there. Um, Glen Toon is a moniker for Glen Scotia, a distillery in the Wee Toon, aka Campbellton. So this is an 8-year-old, 57.1%. It was the result of a 2014 first fill hoggy filled with unpeated Glen Toon, put together with 2016 first fill barrel of peated Glen Toon, aka Glen Scotia. Made by mixing these two whiskeys together, multi-vintage bottling, diluted again, and I think this is an interesting note to 57.1%. One of the things that Angus is pretty open about, and he talked about this in the tastings we did with him virtually over the last couple of years, is how while he likes and appreciates cask strength, he doesn't think it's automatically better. That a lot of times he feels there's a better drinking strength. And I mean, this is an approach that other bottlers like Boutique Whiskey have also done,
Hmm.
where they bottled the whiskey at the strength they felt it showed best.
Hmm.
And they're still generally fairly high 40s, if not higher. But the idea there is that sometimes things can benefit from a bit of dilution. Um, so 8-year-old Glen Scotia, rather naked, first fill hoggy, and what was their first fill barrel of peated spirit. So Harmony, you've already got your nose in this. How is the Glen Tune? Ooh.
It was a little hot coming into the nostrils there. I wrote burn exclamation point, but um it's got this nice malted kind of sweet malt going on, vanilla,
Mhm.
orchard fruits.
It's got that Campbellton funk note.
Yeah.
It's what I imagine a British petrol station smelled like in the 1980s if they had a garage. Like it was old, but it was clean and well kept.
Okay.
Because I always get like Glen Scotia to me is always about the engine oil. And the question
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
engine oil dirty or is it clean?
No,
Or
this is clean.
somewhere in between. And I think this is a rather clean engine oil note to me.
Very. Yeah.
Also get like a little bit of iron. Like I get a bit of like an iron steel note to it, which for me, Glen Scotia again is something I find a lot.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of that mechanical note.
Well, let's taste it and then I'll tell you my Glen Scotia story about the first time I visited, which was eye-opening and not for the reasons that you might expect. Um, yeah,
Um,
it's got this nice like fruit in a stainless steel bowl note.
which you probably shouldn't leave in there that long or it's gonna brown.
Oh, the palate on this is quite lush,
Mhm.
fruity, some nice caramel tones in there, salted caramel, nice honey. It's lush and creamy. It's still got that thick, viscous engine oil, um, almost even like virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil on the palate and into the finish. just a really nice, lush, creamy coating body.
It's a great whiskey.
Yeah, it's young, but there's lots of character there. It's a
Yeah.
little,
Little dusty, soft wood.
yeah, really
Mm.
nice berry fruits like strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, like a nice mixed berry fruit bowl.
Hmm. I wrote like strawberry on a vanilla cake
Mhm.
and a notes.
Oh,
But then it also has this like dusty woodshed kind of reminder to it as well.
Tyler asking, not sure, are you sure that's not me on the label there? That is definitely not me on the label there, though I do have some photos of me in equally ridiculous looking sunglasses.
And your hair's
So
shorter.
hair is a little shorter. Also, um, they didn't get the color tones on the beard, so definitely not me. And I wasn't at the Campbellton Malts Festival this year. Um, so Glen Scotia, I visited for the first time way back in, I want to say 2005. Um, and it was shocking. I'd been to Auchentoshan was the first distillery I went to. Then I went to Arran, which was at that time not even 10 years old or just barely 10 years old.
And had
Um,
you had many trips to Scotland at this point?
no, this is my first ever time going to Scotland.
Okay.
And I
So
think
you
I hit
see.
22 distilleries in or 24 distilleries in 3 weeks, which was pretty good. I mean, a lot of them weren't even open to people at that time. Anyway, including Glen Scotia. Glen Scotia didn't have a visitor center, and it wasn't even in operation unless the people from Springbank came down the road to run it for a couple of weeks, which they did every year just to keep it going, because this was at a kind of a point in the industry where there just wasn't any need for production. So I'd been to Auchentoshan, which is like gleaming and like built for tourists, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'd gone to Arran, which was new, and it was modern distillery, so it was built with the idea of people walking around it. So I didn't really know what to expect. I get to Campbellton, and Springbank is like something from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, with like pulleys and wooden machinery, and like it's dirty, and there's mouse droppings in the barley on the ground, and cobwebs and bird crap in the corner. And I
Oh
remember
my God.
asking, I remember asking my guide Kate, who's now with Watt Whiskey. Actually, she's now with Elixir. Her husband is Mark Watt. I said, Kate, like there's mouse droppings. Aren't you worried about the mice? And she looked at me like an idiot. She said, fuck no. As long as we have mice, we know we don't have rats. And it was kind of like this old logic. Campbellton was just a different place. So then we went and saw Glen where Kilkerran's made. I mean, which was interesting again because they'd only just like opened it a short while before that. Um, and then we went to Glen Scotia, and Glen Scotia was like sad. It was like being in a Dickensian novel. It was in this building that looked like it had been a tenement building. Uh, on the inside, the paint was peeling off the walls. The stills were like so rusty, you could get tetanus from them, or at the very least, strike a match on them if you wanted to. But the most shocking thing of all to me, because I'd been studying whiskey for about 2 years, I've been immersing myself in it, reading everything I could. Everyone knew that you fermented in either an Oregon pine washback or Scandinavian larch or a stainless steel tank. And Glen Scotia had cast iron fermenters. And I was there during production, and the cast iron fermenters were rusting, and the fermentations can be quite violent. So your wort is like boiling over with energy as it's getting consumed. And like dinner plate sized chunks of rust were flaking off the sides of the washbacks into the wash and getting
Oh my
churned
God.
around and presumably finding their way into the stills. Now, I didn't know very much about things then. Or certainly, and I was probably under the impression that pristine, that clean means better. But there's some funny things to this that I think I've come to learn over time with Glen Scotia is that part of its character, part of its uniqueness is how dirty it is and how dirty its production was historically. it was a neglected distillery that just cranked out production. They didn't replace things. They just kind of left it as it was. And yet whiskey that I've tried from that period and from before can be absolutely stunning. And it made me kind of come to appreciate that some of the things you think are important or potentially bad, maybe in the grand scheme of things aren't that important. So I
Mhm.
still get these iron, copper, like metallic notes in Glen Scotia. Um, but they've long since replaced this equipment. They now have stainless steel washbacks. They got rid of the cast
Yeah.
iron ones long
Okay.
before this whiskey was made. And things like iron, that's what your copper stills are there for. They're there to strip that out. Like
Hmm.
copper will bind with iron and sulfur and precipitate out. So in
Oh,
theory, it
good.
shouldn't be getting in the distillate, but it was just remarkable to me that a place that was so ugly could make something that could be so beautiful, and
Hmm.
has kind of never left me. So I remember being shocked when I visited there, but over time I came to appreciate it a bit more. That
Hmm.
yeah, it was ugly, but in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really matter. And I think there's kind of an over emphasis put on how beautiful the place looks. And I mean, the new Macallan distillery is a great example of this. It's pristine, it's architecturally stunning, it's immaculate, but it's also ridiculous. Like the design, does not make the spirit better. In fact, the design might be flawed because you've surrounded your stills, which generate heat, with your fermenters. So
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway, long tirade, long rabbit hole, just to
No,
talk
it's
about
good. I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you touched on the fact that copper strips or the copper strips the iron, because I was thinking how many bottles of Glen Scotia can I drink before I need to update my tetanus shot? But
exactly.
we're fine. We're
Or
good.
you're one of those people that has to go to for bloodletting because your body keeps too much iron.
No, I
So
don't have that problem.
yeah, that's good.
I've got other blood
Yeah, I mean,
problems.
Glen Scotia is a bit of a chameleon in that
Mhm.
depending on its peating level and some other factors, like it can be very light and delicate, or it can be big, robust, and in your face. And this is kind of a nice melange of those two styles at a younger
Yeah,
age.
yeah, it is. It's quite good. I'm really enjoying it.
All right. Speaking of Glen Scotia, segue here is it's the parent company that owns it is Loch Lomond Distillers. And that's our next whiskey. It's the Loch Lomond 19 year from Decadent Drams. Uh, 356. So this is 2005 vintage. It's heavily peated, matured in first fill ex bourbon, 2005 vintage. And I'll pop it up on screen here. And oh, isn't this a pretty drawing? Where do I need to go? Sorry, too many windows open.
This is see.
So they've made Loch Lomond, and it's being spilled out or poured out into the loch with all its beautiful little islands. So pretty little label there. It's bottled at natural cask strength. The cask was pretty active and has really concentrated the tarry peat flavors in this whiskey. It is a very big and extremely satisfying whiskey that blends the older style elements with much more modern characteristics. So for those who don't know, Loch Lomond, an interesting distillery. I mean, it was not interesting going back to this time when Glen Scotia, when I visited Glen Scotia, Loch Lomond probably was not very well regarded until about 10 years ago. And I think it was only about 10 years ago when they started to put out some really interesting bottlings, and independent bottlers started releasing more product from them, that people started to appreciate how much potential the Loch Lomond distillery has. It's not beautiful. It's in an industrial park just to the northwest of Glasgow. Um, it's near Loch Lomond, but it's not a beautiful site. It's not a beautiful distillery. When you go in, it's very modern and factory-like. They have four different stills, I believe, within the main distillery. It's either four or six. And then they have several column stills. And when Loch Lomond was set up, and it's not a very old company, I believe it was set up in the 1970s. Um, Someone can probably fact check me on that, but 1960s or 70s, might have been late 60s. It was built to be a self-sufficient blending house. They wanted to be able to produce grain whiskey, malt whiskey, so that they could produce blends on hand. And today, they're probably the only active distillery in Scotland that can produce a single blend, meaning a blend from one distillery that has both grain and malt whiskey in it. But even more crucially than that, they don't make just one style of malt whiskey. They make nearly a dozen, or they've made nearly a dozen historically. And this allows them to put together single malt bottlings that have got incredible range of flavors in them, because they're drawing from different distillations and different combinations of their stills. Some of their stills have the ability to change the position of plates in the neck so that they can approximate a taller or a shorter still. They use different fermentation times, different peating levels. They used in their column stills for their grains, they use both malt and barley at times. So they're an interesting place that when I got started, everybody thought they were just rubbish, because all they were really focused on was young low end blends for the supermarkets. And that was really their business. But one of the things that made this so interesting is that their spirit, the new make they produce, has such a broad range and is so interesting. And thankfully for us, most of it was put into either ex-bourbon or refill casks. So left for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. It had the time to kind of get polished, to esterify, to oxidize. And the result with these older Loch Lomonds are some absolutely stunning, stunning whiskeys. And it was kind of a fluke. They were never planning to do this. They never had a design on single malts. Like, single malts were only really something they started to dabble in the late 2000s and early 2010s. And even then, they didn't do a great job with it right off the bat. But, you know, um, the pieces were all there. The potential was there to do something great with it. And I think we've really seen that happen in the last 5 to 8 years.
Very cool. Yeah, they're quite an interesting distillery. I know Evan is a huge fan of all their quirky ways. I struggle with the core range, but I do enjoy some of the independents, some of the grains that they do. Um, there's been some good releases out there. This on the nose is quite enjoyable and weird and funky.
It is weird, but it's weird in a fun way.
Yeah.
So Ian's note here, call me crazy, but I'm getting some sort of industrial rubber note. I mean, to me, this smells like more like the immaculately maintained interior of like an antique car. Like if you go into a 1960s or 1970s sports car with your Corinthian leather, which is from Corinth, or Michigan, not Corinth, Greece. Clever marketing, which I love. One of my favorite little facts.
Now
But
this has like a shrink wrap plastic kind of note to it as well. I also got like very cheesy
it's
initially, and then I compromised with Tom there with the salon finish nails pulling on cheese string. But
it's very cheesy.
yeah, very cheesy.
There's a nice chutney note mixed in there too, like cheese and chutney.
Yeah,
A little bit
yeah.
of smoke. I mean, I
There's a
really
lot of
I
smoke.
really like this nose.
I like the nose too. It's very fun. There's a lot going on.
It even
Kind of
smells a
going
little bit like my
cottage
dinner.
cheesy.
Smells a
Like,
little bit like my curry.
oh, cool.
Wow. I mean, the smoke on that is huge. Whoa. Um,
Ooh,
big phenols,
what's the
massive, massive smoke.
what's
But
the
underneath it, you've got
ABV?
these really bright fruits, like straying into tropical, but a lot of orchard fruit, a little bit of citrus, maybe some melon. but it's starting to go tropical. Those cheesy tones are still there. The chutney for me is still there. Um, I
Mm.
don't know this.
I get lemon citrus coming through on that too.
It does make me wonder what the make of this is. Like, is this Croft and Gia, or would they have called this Croft and Gia if it was? I'm just checking to see if I can find this. Loch Lomond drinks. Loch Lomond. Here we go. Uh, it is not specified, but yeah, it's got a huge score on well, 89.7, not a huge score, but a really good score on Whiskey Base. I mean, it reminds me of a little bit of Croft and Gia, but I'm not entirely sure that's it. Uh, I mean, Ian's note is right. This is a bit of a roller coaster. Like, it kind of smacks you in the face that first sip.
It totally does. Oh man, I'm getting some very like a wet diaper
Oh,
garbage potpourri, but in a good
hmm.
but in a good way. I love it.
Sammy saying could be inch fed. I mean, what's interesting is that we've seen independent bottlers reference um, Croft and Gia, Do, Inch Fad, Inch Murin, all these different makes that Loch Lomond produces. I suspect if they knew or if it was clear that they probably would have identified that on the bottle.
Would they
Um,
be allowed to?
Yeah, because I don't think
Yeah.
Loch Lomond's ever been that fussy. I mean, as long as they have the distillery's permission, then yes, they can do it. If they don't have the distillery's permission, then no, they can't do it. It's kind of like how, you know, you know, well, some of the naming rules that are out there and how some companies will sue others for using a name. Like
Yeah.
technically, Cadenheads is the only company allowed to use the term Burnside because they own the rights to it. So
Yeeky.
but I mean, if you look at independent bottlings, like there's been lots of independent bottlings of Loch Lomond stuff referencing the specific make. But
Yeah.
maybe in this case they didn't know, or maybe this is blended spirit from a number of different runs or types that was married together before it was put in a cask.
Oh, that would be very interesting to know. You know
Mhm.
what it surprises me about this, for being 19 years old, I find it like the alcohol is very forward. It's all over the finish. It's very like high in alcohol, and it's like cutting my tongue with
Yeah,
the ABV, and the ABV is not even that high.
compared to some of the others, yeah, 54 point.
Yeah.
There is definitely a heat to this. But I mean, I'm also finding it's got a spiciness to it too. So
Mhm.
who's to say? But yeah, Loch Lomond. Um, Sammy, I saw there that you've not been a fan of some of their younger ballings. We've had a batch of the Loch Lomond 12 recently that several people have opened up for me that was shocking how good it was. Um, I suspect that Loch Lomond there's a fair bit of batch inconsistency
Mhm.
because I mean it's not in the top tier of distilleries. Like, let's just be honest, it's not certainly not in the most sought after. And I think the batches they're producing are probably pretty small, despite, the fact that they're well priced. Because again, I think the single malt market has not been like a huge part of their business, even today. I think the blend side, despite the fact that we don't really carry anything on the blended side for them. But yeah, I think some of those whiskeys can vary quite a bit from batch to batch.
Interesting. I've actually never given them kind of the thought or the courtesy of being inconsistent the way that we do like some of our Campbelltown distilleries where we enjoy the inconsistencies, love or hate them. I've never looked at them that way, but I'm with you, Sammy. Currently not a fan
Yeah.
of some of their bottlings. But I'd be curious to know what the bottle date is and if it's the same stuff we have because I would love to look like their profile because I
Mhm,
find them quite an interesting producer. But
for sure. Tyler saying garbage potpourri, but in a good way. I like that. I think Harmony, you said something along those lines too. Either that or
I
you.
was reading it because it was
Oh,
hilarious.
um, I mean, I think there's brand potential in that, Tyler. You should start that brand, a brand called Garbage Potpourri, and like it targeted at the husbands of women who buy potpourri, and it could be like their own potpourri. It's potpourri for them,
Isn't that just like, never mind.
potpourri
No.
for him. I think is what we're headed for here. All right, one last whiskey, and then we'll do our speed round. We're up to the tried but true Caol Ila, the ever faithful whiskey. Where is it here? I'm struggling to find it. Oh, it's the Dancer. Um, let's put her up on screen. So 13-year-old Caol Ila, first fill sherry hogshead, 53.1. It's got what looks like a flamenco dancing unicorn on the label.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
Producer description: Scottish peat and Jerez sherry influences are expressed nowhere more vividly than in ancient art of flamenco. Um, Wonderful decadent drams, blah, 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 bottled at natural cask strength to celebrate these two potent influences and pays tribute to the cunicorn. And
Yeah,
it's,
it's a cow. I was
yeah,
going
it's
to
a
tell you that.
Highland cunicorn.
It's a
Well, I'm seeing
unicorn.
that now. It makes more sense now that I see that. It's
That's
naughty,
good.
hypnotizing, rhythmic, hoof pounding. So
Ooh,
um,
sign me up. I love the nose.
there should be a cunicorn. Um,
That's another brand someone needs to start.
yeah. So tell me about the nose, Harmony.
I don't know. Just initially, I smelled it and it was like funky and cheesy and round, and I liked it.
Mm,
And I
okay,
just started writing hearts next to that was my teasing note. It was a heart inside a heart.
fair enough.
Um, it's it's kind of very Kalila on the nose, but very sherried. I get like your cured meats, dried fruit.
It is very meaty.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I
it's
was
a
just
good.
looking at the producer description on this because I mean this is a really thick, tarry, almost over the top sherry cask for me. Like
Yeah.
it's bordering on too heavily sherried.
And I'm surprised you should say that.
Well, just to me, it's like it's it just seems almost slightly overcooked. Like it's very beefy,
Mm-hmm.
um, cured meat. Like there's and it's that cured
It's
bison. Those cured sliced bison is the nose.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it everything feels like you're now taking that dried cured meat and putting it on a fire
Mhm.
or like a,
Smoked oysters,
it's kind of ashy.
some bacony notes in there too, like bacon jam.
Oh, that sounds good. And a little bit of French onion soup going on.
Oh, it's ketchup, potato chips on the palate. Ketchup,
Bro.
potato chips, and barbecue. Um, like hickory barbecue, those hickory sticks, ketchup chips, and hickory sticks on the palate.
Hate ketchup chips.
How can you hate ketchup chips? They're part of your Canadian heritage.
Are you booing me or ketchup chips, Tom? Like I thought we were friends. Okay, good.
Ketchup chips, yeah. Is the AI thing working or not?
No.
Seemed like it was kind
Boo.
of working earlier.
Hate them. And the inconsistency of the ketchup chip market. There's no Heinz 57 ketchup chip. Nice, Andrew.
I think I've managed to Doug, though I don't know. I'm like, what does this do something too?
The Dougie.
don't know. All
Mhm.
right. I gotta learn my AI hand signals a little better. Um, Take my passport and give me Doritos Flamin' Hot. Oh no. Come on, Tom.
Also,
It's everybody knows it's the sweet chili heat. That's where the love is at, is the sweet chili heat.
Sammy, that was
Sammy
amazing.
made fireworks. Like
I didn't
fireworks?
know
Not
this was a
fireworks?
thing. Are you on a roller coaster?
I don't know, like, but there's like different symbols. I just don't think I'm just not getting picked up by the AI, is ultimately. Um,
I
I
what?
also get a little bit of like I don't know, I get like a little bit of paint thinner on the nose with this too.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I was gonna say Sharpie, but they're very similar in my mind.
And it smells a little bit like this thing my dad used to pour on this tree that we had in the backyard.
Like gasoline?
No, he was not trying to burn the tree, he was trying to save it.
Oh,
Um, I don't
like
know.
a fertilizer of sorts.
I don't know why he would do this, but it was almost like a turpentine-like thing that he put on the tree to do something to the tree, but I don't know what that was.
Save it with gas. Just based
Well,
on the nose, this is what we're coming
I
up
mean, it
with.
depends. Maybe you could save it with gas. Maybe you needed to urgently burn something off of it, but the tree would still live. I don't know. I don't know that I like that Caol Ila.
Yeah, it's a different kind of bottle.
That is a shocker. I mean, it's coming around to me a little bit. It's very cured meat.
Yeah, it's a lot of meat.
Yeah. No, Tom, last name Ferguson, not very Germanic. Um,
Just
very
like a lot of
Scottish
Dutch
Irish.
chocolate.
Yeah. German plumber though. Anyway, I think it's time to speed round. I think we've gone fairly long on this one tonight for no apparent reason. Um, Talking about Loch Do and Mannochmore and Glen Scotia before they put lipstick on a pig. Um, we need to get back to the whiskeys here. Uh, Back to that Loch Do 15 year.
Okay. Oh, I like the nose.
I
It's like,
did get a bit of a popcorn fart on that though.
sorry. I just pictured the popcorn part of like, that's the smell that the popcorn makes when it pops.
Oh,
But that's not what you meant, and I know that. But
no. But the palate on this, it's soft, fruity, floral. Um,
hmm
it's beautiful. I really,
hmm
really like this
You
whiskey.
still getting that mango note? Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some
It's
really nice fruit
beautiful.
tones in that. I mean, I this is a great whiskey. I'm glad they bottled it, but I mean, this is whiskey that could have sat for another 8 to 10 years and
Easily.
would
Yeah.
have just gotten more and more tropical as time went on. Um, all right, Syndicate blend. The nose has settled down quite a bit. It's like a lot of like old school candies, like old fashioned candies, caramels.
Yeah, your butterscotch Werther's originals kind of style.
It's got a it's got a big palate. Like it keeps rolling. I know Tyler commented on the finish on this earlier. Really rolls into the finish. Some nice tropical tones, a little syrupy, a bit of leather, chocolate, tobacco. I mean, there's a lot of nice components to this. I think it still needs a bit more time to be like, but there's a lot of nice pieces in there.
The finish, the longer it goes, for me, it's like it feels younger and sharp
Mhm.
the longer it sits on the palate.
All right, let's return to Yorkshire.
I understand what you mean about the Canadian whiskey nose. There's
Oh,
remnants of this that even remind me of some of the first releases of like other Canadian
Well, I even say like
single malts, like
two
two
brewers.
brewers, the
But it
banana
reminds me
peat.
of a hybrid of like the Shelter Point Montfort, which was their unmalted whiskey, like
Mm,
their locally grown whiskey. So
yeah,
effectively like Irish pot still in style, and a little bit of their Montfort, which pretty sure that was Sammy's call earlier.
I didn't want to say two brewers because you guys had said Shelter Point, and I just think of them as like different spectrum style single malts, and I didn't want to like belittle the two brewers name, but I do get that like chewy banana candy note, and they're like the kind of like their release three when it was like a really soft peat versus now it's much bigger.
Well, and I don't want to belittle Shelter Point either. I mean, I still think there's a lot of potential there. I just think they took the wrong approach. They kind of
Yeah.
tried to go corporate and boring, and it's not working out.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, there's this kind of funky, slightly, you know, slightly unready, unpolished sort of element to this.
Yeah.
It's
I
fun,
like it.
but
Yeah.
probably needs more time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Arran 10-year sherry bomb.
My palate cleanser is way over there. My dog doesn't know how to fetch beer. I know. I know. I know. Nor does my cat. So there's really no help for me. But the nose on this is lovely. Sorry, Tom. It's a very pretty cat, though.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm on to, are you on the Aaron?
mhm. Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah,
It's Aaron.
it's what you expect.
Yeah, I'm
Nice
very,
Aaron cherry hoggy.
yeah, I'm looking forward to their new stuff. Oh, ooh.
It's showing its age a little bit more, like its youth a little bit more this time around,
Hmm.
but still good. All right,
It's really good. It's got a
tune.
really long finish for a 10-year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tune.
Tune?
Oh,
Oh, it's smoky. It's
it's
industrial.
so dirty.
It is so dirty. It's like whatever you dropped it in the dirt and then you kicked it 3 times while trying to pick it up, and you
I
just
think
keep
it's like if you
drinking.
made cheddar in a like an old like British garage, by which I
And
mean
you,
gas station garage.
yeah, totally. And you're like, let's just keep doing oil changes and cranking them tunes. Metallica, yeah. And you just go with it.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
that's a pretty good Glen Scotia.
It's
All right,
it's
it's a contender.
a contender.
It's a
Mm.
contender. Loch Lomond 19. Oh man, I love that nose. It's got like plasticine and
Mhm.
like soft Gouda. So like not real Gouda, but like the soft Gouda that you get at a grocery store.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's like it's
Um,
to me, it's like it's cheesy and citrus at the same time.
the palate is tropical fruit, industrial, like an industrial fire smoke.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably
Mm.
batteries and wires burning.
It's
Um,
like a old paint can where the paint is like dried up a bit, but it's just still rubbery and you just peel it out of the can.
yeah. I
Mm.
okay. I
Yeah,
damn.
that's delicious.
Yeah. All right. Caol Ila 13.
Come on, Kalila, do your thing. Make me
Uh,
love you.
it's
Oh,
now
don't.
bacon flavored crisps.
It's a lot of baking spices.
No bacon, as in like thinly sliced pig.
Bacon.
Yeah, bacon crisps. So like I'm also getting the ketchup chips and the barbecue and the hickory. It's basically just potato chips and crisps on the,
Over flavored barbecue
but
chips.
like non-vegetarian potatoes and crisp or potato chips and crisps.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this. It's it's weird and I like it. I
I'm
just really
probably
want
being
bacon now, which is a problem.
I'm probably being unduly harsh on this, but just it's not my favorite Caol Ila.
That's fair.
Um, and I think we've had so many. Like I have to do some math, but I have got to be well over 1,000 different Caol Ilas sampled at this point in my life, maybe more.
I was gonna say there's gotta be one.
Yeah, it's just
Not your
it's
favorite.
not. Well, I don't think it's flawed or bad. I just don't love it. Like it's. I mean, Caol Ila seems like if you have a tasting and there's a Caol Ila in it, it always seems like it ends up being in the top two or three, like
Mhm.
without fail. And for
Mhm.
me, this is interesting, but it's not even close to my top five. Like it's in the bottom end of the tasting for me tonight, which is a shocker.
I would agree with you. I think it's there. It's whatever these barbecue chips are, it's in a metallic bag that's like hooked up to batteries and it's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's trigger the poll. Harmony, have you figured your favorites out yet?
Well, I moved all my glasses around, but the Loch Lomond 19 is really shining for me. The Arran is also fantastic, and whatever number two was, I love the nose.
Number two. That was the
That's a
deck. That was the
syndicate.
blend.
I'm surprised because I had other
All
words
right. So just
yesterday.
because I'm slow, do you want to circle back on me? Like your favorites again one more time?
Yeah. I like the Loch Lomond,
Yeah.
even though the alcohol is feels so sharp. Um, the Loch Do is great. The first one, I still think mm, might be up there for me.
Okay.
Going back and nosing it's just great. And there's nothing left, which is a telltale for me.
Mhm.
So the locks are my tops. And then
Yeah. Uh, I'm
Aaron,
gonna go a similar direction. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with that Loch Lomond 19. I think that's it's kind of lush and
yeah.
a little untamed and in my wheelhouse. Number two, I'm gonna go Loch Do. I really love that Mannochmore. It's beautiful. It's floral. It's got a really nice balance to it. And I'm gonna go with the second youngest, the Glen Toon, is my third favorite tonight.
That was good.
I like the engine oil there. I like the cheesy tones. I like that Campbellton funk creeping out. Um, yeah, a lot of good whiskeys in the lineup tonight. So it
There
looks
was a lot. Yeah.
all the
And
ones you have voted. We'll give you another 30 seconds to figure your shit out, as the kids say.
yeah,
Uh,
and while we do that, I'd just like to verbally scold Evan for not putting in a third question, as our chat is not thrilled about the lack of three
there's,
options.
I mean, the cheeky
What
third question is, what was Evan doing when he could have been writing the cheeky third question tonight? I mean,
actually, I know the answer.
what's that?
There's a teacher strike and he has three children. He was
Also,
probably busy.
he was spending a lot of time researching new dishwashers for the tasting room, which,
Oh, is he? Is it
well, well,
anti-mouse dishwasher?
yeah, our old dishwasher seems to be where mice tended to die for some
They
reason. So
certainly
they like to
do,
go
and
en
I
route
would
to
love
die.
if that new current dead one would leave our store, please.
Yeah. Anyway, um, all right, we're killing the poll here. So the results are
The
the
results are
favorite
in.
dram tonight is a tie between the Loch Do and the Loch Lomond 19.
It's a lock night.
Yeah, in the third place, the Glen Toon. And then both the Decadent Drams blend, Syndicate blend, and the Arran 10 also got a vote. And then second favorite, it's all about Arran and Loch Lomond. So I think if we were to declare a overall winner tonight, the clear overall winner is the Loch Lomond. Loch Do appears to be number two. Glen Toon
Nice.
number 3, and Arran in a pretty solid fourth place. So that's the lineup tonight. Yeah, fun tasting. A number of great tastings still to come before the end of the year. Uh,
Yeah.
do want to thank all of you for taking part. Um, we won't comment on whether or not the fault was that Evan had children. Um,
I just forwarded it to him. I'm sure he'll have
yeah,
comments tomorrow.
he'll get a kick out of that. Um, but yeah, great range tonight. Thank you all for taking part. I hope you enjoyed the tasting. Don't forget next week is Trevia. Is that what it is?
Hmm.
I think it's
I think
Trevia.
that's French.
It is French. It's
Oh,
very
good.
bold. I
Mhm.
just want to make sure that's actually what we call Trevia eau de vie. So yeah,
It's
that's
on the
coming.
28th or something like that. Yeah,
And then
that's.
it's not too late to join us in Whiskey Land on November 4th.
Oh, please join. I didn't try any of them, but I poured them and they smell so good. It's
Lots
gonna
of
be
good things to
great.
look forward to. And
Yeah.
we should know within the next 10 days. Well, hopefully by then we'll have a better sense, but good chance that the whiskey advent tasting sets will be ready in approximately 10 days.
We're
But
just waiting for boxes. Can you believe we're
we are,
poured and labeled
yeah,
completely as of today?
and we're waiting for glasses.
Oh yeah,
So,
we're waiting for those. Gosh.
but those are, I think those shipped yesterday. So the pieces are all coming together. Anyway,
Wonderful.
once more, thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
Andrew.
Have a great night. Thank you, Harmony, and everyone have a great night. We'll talk soon.